Hi there, welcome to the latest news and coverage in the Noah Presgrove case today, presenting to you some new court documents, specifically Val Petrol in regard to the chain of the convenience store, Napoli's, distributing out alcohol without asking for identification, such as towards Jack Newton of under the legal age of drinking and so on, how it impacts the case, comparing with the wrongful death lawsuit which has originally been filed, and how it's the claims linked to Val Petrol's response in the new court documents. Compare, contrast, analyse, as well as present to you some individual updates in regard to Jack Newton and Carter Combs in terms of a pregnancy. Why is it that important? Well, to me, it's not really important, but towards other people that have been talking about it in some way or another, I just want to provide perspective, okay? But to keep it above board, and for other people that are listening in and watching, to keep it above board in an appropriate way. And on top, looking at another comment which has come from Reddit, or at least the discussions about it reposted over there, the original Reddit page, the one which I'm banned on, to do with Stevie Howard, the mother, and Avery, the birthday girl. What's been mentioned there in more recent time, interpreted as one is hiding, is one on the run. And these named individuals, just linking back to the wrongful death lawsuit as defendants. So it is all relevant today and it all kind of links together. I just wanted to do a bulk video so then you get to see it all in one place. Because if I broke it down into multiple, not everybody would be able to keep up. Not everybody would watch all the individual clips. And I think certain heavy focuses on one video, one theme, it could be interpreted the wrong way, and that can get out of hand. So welcome if you are currently here during the live premiere. You can share your thoughts, reactions in the live chat box on the right side of the screen. If you want to catch up on recent videos by mine, including last night, I think there was only about 50 people that watched, which is absolutely crazy and ridiculous considering. But the I symbol is up there with the full playlist as well on different cases too. If you want to support the channel, there is a PayPal link down below in the comment section, pinned message. And just in general, let me know your reactions to these new court documents and the response by Val Petrol and the additional news and findings along the way. Leave your thoughts below. It'll help with spreading awareness and it'll help just get the videos out there more so then more people get to learn. So the order of how we'll do things today, we'll look at the court documents first, then I will analyse, then compare, contrast with the wrongful death lawsuit, and then we'll get on to the findings of Jack, Carter and Avery. Without further ado, let's begin. Here is the first page of the documents. I'll zoom in to make it easier for you to see. In the district court within and for Stephens County, state of Oklahoma, the estate of Noah Nichols. And on the right, most importantly, it says August 14th, 2025, Val District Court, Stephens County, Oklahoma, Melody Harper. So it's very recent, this. And then on the left, the said names. Not much has changed there. Val Petrol at the bottom, which we're focusing in on today. It still says John, Jane Doe, A to Z, unidentified individuals. When and if we will know about them public remains a mystery. But I find it rather interesting. I know people can focus in on Jack Newton and Caleb Newton, really go in on them. But I think the John and Jane Does actually stand out more to me. You can let me know what you think in the comment section. Answer of defendant Val Petrol to plaintiff's petition comes now. Val Petrol Limited Liability Company. By and through Counsel of Record Carl J. Buchholz of the Law Office Ellis and Buchholz, and so on. So, in answer to the plaintiff's wrongful death petition, states as follows. Number 1, on information and belief, Val Petrol admits the allegations in paragraph 1 of the petition. We will compare afterwards to those numbers. Number 2, Val Petrol is without sufficient information to admit or deny the allegations set forth in paragraph 2 of the petition. And that applies to paragraph 3, and it goes on and on and on. I'm not going to read every single one out unless it's read differently. Okay? Zoom in here. that should do. Number 4, Val Petrol without sufficient information for paragraph 4, for paragraph 5, for paragraph 6, paragraph 7, paragraph 8. Val Petrol is without sufficient information for paragraph 9. And then paragraph 10, Val Petrol admits the allegations in paragraph 10. On information and belief, Val Petrol admits the allegations in paragraph 11. And on information and belief, admits the allegations in paragraph 12 of the petition. And we'll link that later to see what that actually means. Then it returns back to without sufficient information, without admitting or denying. Almost like the silent card. Tactics being played likely that. Sufficient information for 15. Val Petrol denies. That's interesting because the others were just without sufficient information, but now it's saying Val Petrol denies the allegations in paragraph 16 of the petition to the extent those allegations relate to Val Petrol. Val Petrol is without sufficient information to admit or deny the allegations set forth in paragraph 16. 17, Val Petrol denies allegations in paragraph 17. And we'll move on to the next slide. I do have some paper nearby as well where I have just numbered it so that I can compare back and forth. And then once again, here we are. Without sufficient information, paragraph 18. Without sufficient information, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Paragraph 27. Then paragraph 28, Val Petrol denies the allegations in paragraph 28 to the extent those allegations relate to Val Petrol. Val Petrol is without sufficient information to admit or deny the allegations set forth in paragraph 28, insofar as they relate to other defendants of the people, which I can't really speak on behalf of, I guess. 29 paragraph. So the allegations petition constitute legal conclusions to the extent an answer is required, and Val Petrol denies those allegations. And so on with paragraph 30. And there was quite a few, as you can see. Allegations, paragraph 31, petition constitute legal conclusion to the extent an answer is required, Val Petrol denies. Paragraph 32, Val Petrol is without sufficient information, and so on. 33. 34 denies the allegations in paragraph 34, as you also relate to the defendants. 35, Val Petrol denies allegations. 36, denies allegations. 37, denies allegations. 38, allegations which require an answer have been denied by Val Petrol. And so on with 39. And I don't know if I've got the one on the end. Oh yeah, I do here as well. 40, and paragraph petition, legal conclusion to the extent, denies, and then so on. So you get the idea of where it's going, and you can always pause the video if you want to. Okay. Moving on, we've got a slightly different page here. Or deny allegations. Affirmative defences. 1. Plaintiff's petition fails to state a claim upon which relief may be granted against Val Petrol. 2. Plaintiff has failed to state a claim for civil conspiracy as to Val Petrol. Number 3. Also has failed to state a claim for negligence as to Val Petrol. Failed to show that Val Petrol owed a duty to Noah Presgrove. Failed to show that Val Petrol violated any Oklahoma law relating to the sale of alcoholic beverages. I mean, if they're not asking for ID, that's a problem. Failed to show proximate cause between Val Petrol and the death of Noah Presgrove. There were intervening causes between Val Petrol and the death of Noah Presgrove. There were superseding causes between Val Petrol and the death of Noah. Val Petrol is not liable to plaintiff for the reason that Val Petrol has complied with all duties imposed on it by Oklahoma statutory and common law. the imposition of exemplary or punitive damages against Val Petrol would violate the Oklahoma and United States Constitution. Assumption of risk, contributory negligence. Val Petrol reserves the right to amend to plead additional affirmative defence as discovery continues in this matter. And that's what's important, the discovery phase. And I guess that applies to the other defendants as well, even though it's been quiet there. Wherefore, defendant respectfully requests that the court deny any and all relief requested by the plaintiff as to Val Petrol, that the court enter judgment in favour of Val Petrol, and that the court award Val Petrol all relief to which they may be entitled to in law and equity, including a reasonable attorney fee. Moving on, what we've got highlighted here are some examples of what Val Petrol admitted to. Is it that groundbreaking? Well, you can see for yourself. I'll zoom in just a second. I've got some paper as well beside me, roughly, which shows what they've admitted to, what they more so have denied to, which is more important because the ones in between were more so not admitting and not denying, almost being quite silent about it. So, number one, what was admitted? Before his untimely death in September 2023, Noah Nichols, basically Noah Presgrove, the descendant, was a resident of Stephens County. Right, no big deal, just basically saying, yeah, we acknowledge that pretty much as it is. Moving on, skipping ahead where it goes to number 10. Sorry if it's a bit blurry, but I'll read it to you. 10. The defendant Val Petrol, LLC, or Napoli's Domestic Limited Liability Company, with its registered agent in Stephens County that operates Napoli's convenience store. That's been acknowledged. 11. Jurisdiction and venue are proper. Acknowledged. 12. September 4th, 2024, the descendant was found, as in Noah, lifeless, naked, on the side of United States Highway 81 in Terrell, Oklahoma. Pretty much there. And then in terms of denying stuff, I think we're starting off with number 16. And number 16 was stating, as a claim, the party was a civil conspiracy by defendants to furnish alcoholic beverages to underaged and intoxicated individuals, such as Noah, over the course of several days. Now, in a way, Val Petrol can't admit or speak on behalf of other partygoers at their own little independent party and get together, because Val Petrol isn't the be-all and end-all of supplying all that alcohol at that particular party. Some of it came from it, yes, but then the rest of the alcohol came from elsewhere. So Val Petrol denying it, as in what? They're not involved in a civil conspiracy. They're not directly involved in planning or attempting to get a specific person like Noah drunk. They're just doing their job, as in selling alcohol, but maybe not doing a good enough job, as in selling responsibly. Not asking for ID of people that may look younger than what they are, whether they're of the correct age or not, and so on. So when it comes round to, if it's similar as we see here with Val Petrol, with the other defendants, will they admit, will they deny, or will they say no comment? And it'll be didn't admit, didn't deny. It'll be interesting to see the responses by others, but I just don't think that's been done yet. I mean, what do other people think? Do you think it's a civil conspiracy that defendants, more so at the party with Val Petrol on the sideline, purposely furnishing alcohol, planning it out, doing it for a reason to get Noah, for example, intoxicated for several days? Yes, it does mention other individuals too. Then you got Jack Newton on the sideline that had said, but in the background, to his father Caleb, and then Caleb commented on it in one of the articles online and basically said Jack mentioned how, like with any other party, they all brought their own alcohol, and that's just how it was. It wasn't all provided by the host of the party or those that live there. Interesting. 17 was also denied. Upon information and belief, the alcohol provided to Noah was purchased by Jack Newton at Napoli's convenience store in Marlow, Oklahoma, despite defendant Jack being under the age of 21. So at least from what I saw there, denying it, saying what it didn't happen. So, interesting. So Napoli are basically responding, or Val Petrol are responding, saying how, it wasn't Jack that bought the alcohol, or that it was Jack that bought alcohol, but no, there's no way around it. Jack Newton at the time, underage, either bought the alcohol from there or he didn't. And the way Napoli's Val Petrol has responded is as if that never happened. But wouldn't CCTV footage prove it and show what really did happen? That's if the footage still exists, right? It does say upon information and belief. So where did that information come from? The information as in hard evidence, CCTV footage, or what other people have said, witnesses, and even Jack himself maybe. Provided to Noah, specifically purchased by Jack at a convenience store. I mean, if you're caught on camera, if it shows a store under the right name and brand, and Jack's there on the correct day at the correct time, but then you can at least say that an underage person has been buying alcohol and was able to get away with that. The next one we need to look at is 28. There's 28, right down at the bottom. Noah was beat to death by one or more of the defendants, and Val Petrol denied that. Or at least that's how I interpreted it. How can they be commenting on that in the first place when they weren't even there themselves? I find that kind of interesting because I noticed some other points made where it said they couldn't comment on because it's to do with other defendants, which they're not responsible or present physically at the time with to know or to witness. So this particular situation, Val Petrol wouldn't know about Noah, whether he was beaten to death or not. I mean, this is a claim here, but how you read it, it sounds shocking as well. And I've done an analysis of it previously, even if people from certain areas who don't like me anymore, they just don't bother listening or watching those videos that I've done in recent time, but not my problem there. By one or more of the defendants. So if you believe this to be true, who do you think those defendants are? One or more, who do you think they could be out of the pool of ones responsible? The next one, 29, which has been denied by Val Petrol. Defendants owed a specific duty of care to descendant. Okay, right. So in fairness, it's like a vague term. Let me just go back to this particular one because language and wording is obviously important and I do need to make corrections along the way. Right. Descendant, as in Noah Presgrove, the victim, beaten to death by one or more of the defendants, and the list of defendants does include Val Petrol, and on behalf of Val Petrol exclusively, they're basically saying that they deny any involvement in that beating, or that supposed beating. Can't speak on behalf of anyone else, though. So, just wanted to make that clear. 29. Defendants owed a specific duty of care to Noah based on Oklahoma law, which prohibits the distribution of alcohol to underage persons. And 29, they denied that. So what, they don't feel a specific duty of care to Noah because they didn't know Noah at the time. They didn't know where that alcohol was going to. They're not babysitting Noah. They're not physically around Noah, so they can't really admit responsibility or have a duty of care. But couldn't they at least have a duty of care just in general in life as to where the alcohol may go, or at least in the hands of the person that's buying it responsibly? And if they are underage, then maybe how they're going to use it may be irresponsibly to some extent. But with this circling around Noah particularly, maybe that's why Val Petrol have denied it. Number 30, defendants owed a specific duty of care to Noah based on Oklahoma law. Specifically to Noah, I guess Val Petrol didn't know Noah, wouldn't know Noah, so they couldn't owe a specific duty of care there. But they should just in general to the general public, I guess, to some extent, more so the one that buys it. But you can't control where that alcohol goes next, because at the end of the day, if you're in a store, fully grown adult who could be like quite developed, could be really old, who knows, comes on in, buys alcohol, they're allowed to, they're able to, and it's all fine. But then they themselves may go elsewhere and then give it to someone really young. So there's only so much that you can control at the end of the day. So we've done number 30. Number 31, defendants owed a specific duty of care to descendant based on a climate law. I read that one, didn't I? 32, defendants breached their duties of care to descendant by providing him with alcohol, by continuing to give him alcohol even after he was observably intoxicated, by driving descendant around on an all-terrain vehicle whilst intoxicated, which I think is the Ford Ranger in which Jack Newton Sunday afternoon, going into Sunday evening, driving along the fields with passengers of Noah, Brylan, Isaac, Noah, Caden Pressey shooting animals. And whilst being a passenger, Noah is intoxicated at the time, but if other people are as well, if they've got firearms, which that's what's been suggested, there's not really a good combination to be driving about shooting at stuff if you're drunk. So you've got Jack Newton with his AR-15, you had Brylan with the hunting rifle, Isaac Rojas with the 12-gauge shotgun. Anybody else, passengers that had firearms, I'm not too sure, but it doesn't look good. And beside that, and by selling alcohol to a minor who purchased alcohol for descendant. Right, so for Val Petrol to deny that, well, they denied the first part. I think the second part of it was not able to give a clear answer, not denying, not admitting, and as you would expect, especially when the latter part of that claim is directly aimed at those responsible for selling it, distributing it. And then after that point, it just goes on and on and on in terms of what's been denied and bits in between which hasn't been given a clear answer to. I don't know if there's anything that stands out to you in general or anything else. You can leave a comment down below. This particular point here, which I've got, is to do with the wrongful death lawsuit, but it's in a different order because of what's mentioned here and then the slide afterwards. So you wonder why Carter Combs is highlighted as well as Jack Newton. In recent time or so, 2 days ago, took the screenshot today, so it's 2 days before that, Carter Combs made a post on Facebook saying, "This was one of the hardest secrets to keep. We are beyond excited and grateful. We loved each other so much, God knew we needed 3 hearts." Now you wonder what that black banner is along the side of that photo on the left. I did that myself because it just doesn't feel right including it, right? That's why I just wanted to blur it out. What is it really? It's like scan photos, you know, pregnancy scan photos. It's a personal thing, even though it's a public post. At least in my mind, it's just something that doesn't need to be, you know, outright shown. I know there's a smaller one top right, but it's not that visible, to be honest. I just wanted you to see most of the images so you knew what it's actually being referred to as in this secret which has been kept and now revealed. This is a public post, just take that into mind. How is this relevant to the case though? When people say it's inappropriate or not relevant, well, it's to put the case across and to explain it in just a second if you're patient enough. And this one as well, just to add in, on Reddit in recent time. And if anyone does get petty over there, they need to remind themselves that they're constantly using screenshots from my live chat or the comment section. So there's an interest there for them. In regard to this particular screenshot or post, whatever, which has been like reposted on Reddit, which you can find on Facebook. I've seen it myself. And what's really the context? It's just a photo of Avery Joe Combs. You see their profile picture. I guess it was a new photo uploaded, which then was later added as their profile picture. No big deal. Avery doing her own thing, living wherever, but not with Stevie. And so Stevie says in the comments, "Miss her." And then Avery says, "I'll be back one of these days, mama." I'll be back when? Does it really matter? Well, from how it's been interpreted by a few people on the Reddit page is suggesting, is Avery hiding and that's why she's not seen her mum in a while? Yeah, you can put the argument across to explain it, but then you can also just say it's for natural reasons too. when people part ways and move on in life or move elsewhere, from state to state, from country to country, moving in with someone, starting a new family, hanging out with friends, all that, it can happen. Some may remain, some may return, some may move on, some come back and forth and all over the place, different times. Now, as for this particular part, the defendants, so the names what we just referred to just then, also just happen to be on this state of Noah Nichols, the plaintiff of the wrongful death lawsuit. Avery, what we just acknowledged, Carter, what we just acknowledged, Jack as well, and I guess Stevie Howard too. These named individuals, separate, unrelated events and moments in life, but tied to this wrongful death lawsuit. Has there been a level of quietness amongst most defendants, with the exception of Val Petrol? That appears to be the case. Will we get any noise? Will we get any similar court documents coming out, but from the other defendants, admitting or denying and responding in some way? You'd hope to think that if something like this can come out, so should the other stuff. And as well, there's a deadline, right? And if it's not fulfilled, then there's going to be issues. So with these defendant names, and if they are doing stuff in life, the general public, not so much me all the way, but the general public can put their arguments across. The arguments across as in with Avery, location based, not literally, but just the distance, I guess. And then this one too. Let me elaborate. I think it's important to acknowledge and give maybe a bit of a disclaimer before going any further with this analysis, is that, yes, I understand that this particular situation, like with Jack Newton and Carter, is a big positive event for them and people around them, and to some people online as well. Is it of anyone else's interest, or is it none of their business, as in the general public? Well, considering that the post was public, there is, the ability to be able to comment on it publicly as well and react. Now, do I think strongly of it? No, I'm not really thinking too much about it, because this is feeling, in a way, similar to when on the Reddit page, even though my posts were about the case and they got taken down or silenced by the moderator or people on the sideline whinging and complaining, that it wasn't deemed discussion worthy enough. However, post about Jack and Carter going around the world, exploring the world, or at least that's what they were going to do at the time before the wrongful death lawsuit came on in. That was posted, that was talked about. Oh, they're exploring around the world. Are they running away from the problems that have been caused? Are they running away from accountability? Running away from what they've been responsible for, as in Noah's death in some way? Well, it doesn't look like they're exploring the world anymore, from the looks of it, right? Was it the wrongful death lawsuit that stopped and halted the plans? Who knows, unless other things were going on in the background. But how does it compare to the situation of a pregnancy? Well, in the argument, or what people would be saying online, not directly me, but people online would be highlighting that for Jack and Carter, young father, young mother, to be bringing a baby into this world, that when did the whole process begin? Before or after the wrongful death lawsuit? Because in terms of that planning and ahead, that what people would say is, if these named individuals that just so happen to be defendants upon the wrongful death lawsuit, and even the mother Stevie Howard, these family-related members and friends of friends that are listed on as defendants, if one, if or all were found guilty in some way or responsible, and they were to be sent down or sentenced, if it ever got that far, in the case of Noah Presgrove, that, is it, not for it to cause any backlash, but is it a responsible thing to do, as in bringing someone into this world when knowing that you could go down for a certain length of time, or you could be responsible for something, as in the Noah Presgrove case, and you're on the wrongful death lawsuit, but beside that, still get pregnant? I can imagine some people could get the backs up. I'm trying to be careful with the language and wording, but I'm just putting across the points of views what other people could be suggesting, as in, if there's a chance that you could get sent down, but you could be responsible, whether you're admitting to it or not. But by doing activities as in setting up for the future and life. Is it possible to do that when being a defendant on the wrongful death lawsuit? Or is it as a means of what they want and they're confident in their belief that they are innocent, so there's nothing to worry about, so they can plan ahead for the future without any fear or worry? But then I guess some people, if they wanted to be really picky, could say, yeah, but in terms of the case, holding them back, weighing them down, and the wrongful death lawsuit, and then having to answer to it, whether that be appearing in court or not, could that apply a level of stress or strain upon one of the defendants, more so the one carrying the baby? Could that have complications itself, and so on and so on? Maybe that's thinking a bit too deep, but I've just seen it going about just to a small extent, and I want to know your thoughts about it. Is it a big deal? Is it not? And when it comes to Avery doing whatever in life, wherever, we've heard it mentioned before in the past that at some point, around the time of the party before that, and after onwards up to a certain point in time, that it was Avery, Logan and Carter that was still living at the party house. And then eventually they moved out. All went in the same direction, maybe not, went in different ways. It might have been mentioned to my memory that at least Avery went to Texas, temporary or permanent, moving closer to where her mum, Stevie Howard, was residing at, but maybe not in the same house, still a bit of distance apart. Might have changed since, but I'm just relaying from what I can remember. Was there any particular reason as to why all three of them moved out at that party house? Was it all because of the Noah Presgrove case? Because of the dark memories it held there? It was upsetting to live there, knowing the tragedy that had happened, and it'd be a permanent reminder? Or is it more so because of the threats, harassment, vigilantism, in which you had lone wolf individuals, which has been claimed by some of those defendants, that they were harassed in real life, property was damaged, and so on? Is there any hard evidence of that? Only just the words of the people on the receiving end, and that might not be good enough for some people. Others could argue and say it's just hearsay, like really a lot of things. So there's possible factors to explain why they left or moved on. If it's out of their own safety, protecting themselves, yeah, it's understandable. But in terms of the comment, someday I will be back, on the run, hiding, what the person on Reddit, interpreted, I don't think it's to do with that. I just think it's to do with distance, physically, not being close together, not living together, not hanging out as much anymore, just like how it can be for a range of different people in life, that distance, whether it's a long distance friendship, a long distance family connection, or even a long distant relationship. Each one can have its own emotional tugs, your wants, your needs, your desires. You wish to be close to someone, you crave that physical touch, that physical comfort, that level of stability. Sometimes it may not always be possible, and other times it is where it is, depending on the situation, of course. So psychologically speaking, it's quite normal, all of that. And if it was anything to do with being on the run or hiding, it seems pointless to interpret it that way when the conversation which one defendant is have with the mother is from one defendant to another. So if one goes down, the other one could go down as well. So technically, they might be closer than you think eventually. Depends on the outcome of the case. At the end of the day, it just comes to how people interpret stuff. It is what it is. As long as it's interpreted as an opinion or a thought, it shouldn't cause that much damage. But at least from, my own encounters and experiences, and it can apply anywhere. It can apply to TikTok, more so recently. It can apply to YouTube. That from my own individual experience, when humans try to make observations about me, they often tend to be completely invalid and reckless and done without thinking and just jumping the gun and using buzzwords, and that's pretty much it. Not really thinking it through, not done properly, just rushed. When people try and interpret my body language, when people try and interpret me inside, it always fails. They think they know better, but they really don't. The real reality is, at times, I will know more about other people than they know about themselves and their entire existence. It's as simple as that. And if it needs to go deep, then one will go deep, and then it will eventually be known to the other person, positive or negative. I mean, like examples of incompetent observations would be, I'll just do a bit of demonstration right now. Hi there, welcome to the video. We have a major problem today. It's absolutely pathetic the way things are going, the pace of things. It needs to be upped. There needs to be change immediately. People would respond back to that and say, oh, why are you so upset? Why are you crying? It's not that big of a deal, bro. You need to calm down, you know? And I'm thinking, sorry, what's that? Oh, it seems like my eyes, my tear ducts, are just as dry as your mind. Exactly. No tears shown. No warble of the voice. No stuffiness or sniffling of the nose. Clearly one is not upset in that sense. Clearly one is not crying. So why do people think that way? Unless it's what people want it to be, what they hope for someone to cry. So those weird, silly observations. Now, my observations tend to be somewhat accurate, and like with body language too. I would say, though, I am like the Antichrist magician, as in I can say, and this is your card, and it really is, but they don't want to admit to it. So they'll change it up on the spot and say, no, actually, it's not mine, but really, it is. So similarly, when it comes to how someone could be thinking, how someone could be feeling, I know, but they don't know that I know. But when I do tell them, they'll change it up real quick to try and hide it. It's also a defense mechanism within the brain and the mind. Now, if one is relaxed enough and trust and respect you enough, then there is no need to resist. But because there's a lot of resistance out there, says a lot. So I think the observations in this case as well, you can see the pattern and where it goes and how it follows. If there was more material to work with, I could do body language, I could analyse it. I did it with the Dylan Rounds case with the victim's family. Justin Rounds. You see? You see how the names are all bloody similar? It's a pain in the arse. Hence why I don't do back and forth videos too often, because I'd get tongue-tied. Justin Rounds, the father to Dylan Rounds, in an interview, didn't say much, mainly quiet, arms crossed, bit withdrawn, bit subdued, but with the arms crossed, as in holding oneself back, self-restraint from saying what they want to say or what they need to say, what they do think. And Kenneth Cooley's doing most of the talking on behalf of Justin. There's been other occasions of that too. You can do it with text, you can do it with messages and comments by those same said individuals online, but you don't get the same tone, you don't get the emotion across, because it's only words, it's not actual, it's not vocally expressed, and that needs to be acknowledged as well. But, you know, in terms of an opinion, an idea, a theory, not enough people use those words in sentences, so it sounds more like the stating a fact. They may genuinely not be stating it that way, or they don't intend to, but they are, if they don't include, in my opinion, what I think, and so on. Then when other people see it, they get confused. Something somewhat simple could be adjusted and changed, and it would benefit everyone down the line, but how badly do people want to make that change? They may not think it's that important or needed, but then it is Chinese whispers, and then there's many people that hear about it, then it does become more of a thing. It's just like with when it comes to debunking stuff as well. Most people just expect it to just fade away and then that'll be deemed as good enough, but I think it does need to be truly debunked and cleared up, so then it doesn't have to be brought up ever again. It makes it a bit easier to breathe and more open. So, but that stuff just doesn't happen. I think someday I might just do a little video, a simplified version of my thoughts on the case and just the way it really is, the reality of it, simplified. Might have already done it, but I can always do it again. There's no harm, and see what people think about it. But I think with that all being said, we'll leave it there. Just a bulk video. Just wanted to group it together. You let me know what you think. The only other thing to highlight, and don't know if we need a separate video on it, but maybe I can just mention it right now. Like how we were talking about the defendants' names. One person that has been apprehended or taken in, but not to do with the Noah Presgrove case specifically, but they are a defendant, a part of it, is Caleb Newton, the father to Jack. Something to do with driving or license has been revoked, taken away, and then he's been driving without a license and then found out and got in trouble for that. Not to do with the Noah Presgrove case, but because of them being apprehended and on watch by authorities, some people could put the argument across and say, well, it's a start, it's a beginning and movement forwards. They might get Caleb to speak. They might try and link him to the case a bit more now since they've got him in their hands and so on. I mean, with the Dylan Rounds case, originally Brenner, the murderer, wasn't deemed as that at first or officially, but they were arrested, taken in on unrelated charges, and then the case started building from there for the case and with that said individual tied in. Could that happen with Caleb? Maybe time will tell. But for a license to be revoked, taken away, what happened before that in order for that to take place? Recklessness in driving, doing something bad when driving, because it may involve the usage of a vehicle, then consequences from using it, to then consequences afterwards from still using it when you're not supposed to. And with Noah Presgrove being linked to some kind of vehicle-related death, I can understand why the general public start linking one thing with another. But what I believe is important is not to get too carried away. That yes, said individual as a defendant has gotten in trouble with police, but it's unrelated charges at this moment in time. So it's not worth getting too hyped up because it could lead to a level of disappointment afterwards. Time will ultimately tell. But with that being said, my name's Warlight Raf. Feel free to hit the like button, share the video, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye, good night for now.